Welcome to the second episode of the Coffee Shop Project, where I spend my Saturdays exploring local coffee shops, documenting the experience, and then sharing it here with you guys. Today we're heading to Nashville, Tennessee, which is famous for country music, but I'm going to be seeing it through the lens of its coffee shops. The three shops we're checking out today are the Barista Parlor at Golden South, the first Frothy Monkey, and Fido. Before we get into the episode, I would love if you would consider subscribing with the button down below and following me on Instagram to see pictures and extra content from the series. Anyway, without further ado, let's kick off this week at our first shop, the Barista Parlor at Golden South. Welcome to the Barista Parlor. This is the shop in Nashville that I'm actually the most excited about, so let's go inside. The Barista Parlor was founded in 2011 and since then has expanded to 4 locations across Tennessee. The one we're visiting today stood out to me because of the history of the building. Before the Barista Parlor was here, this space was home to a recording studio called Golden Sound, which the Barista Parlor kept the name of, which I found cool because it keeps the space connected to Nashville's roots in the music industry. Before the space was a recording studio, it was a mechanic shop. So the building features a bunch of garage doors which provides gorgeous natural light and the ability to transform the shop into an indoor-outdoor space. Behind one set of doors, this shop houses a roastery, which I wasn't allowed to film for you guys, but if you ever make it to the shop, definitely take a peek. Anyway, now that you know a little bit about this place, let's have some coffee. Wow, it is so windy today, guys, so we're going to be talking really loud so that you can hear me over it. And we are starting today's 3 drinks from the Barista Parlor with something that I've actually tried to make before and epically failed at. Last Christmas, I got a soda siphon, and I love carbonated, sparkling everything, so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do it with coffee, and I tried it, and it was literally the nastiest thing I've ever had, and I swore to myself that I would never do it again. But when I came to the Barista Parlor, the guy making my coffee said that their soda coffee was his favorite drink, so I am hoping that it's gonna redeem itself. This drink has carbonated cold brew with vanilla syrup and some citrus. There's like a little orange peel in there, and we are gonna give it a sip. Yeah, that's 1,000 times better than mine. It tastes like Coke, but I know it's not Coke. I think it's the citrus vanilla-y blend in there. It's really smooth, and I think it would be super good as like a float in the summer, so maybe I will try to fix my recipe and do that at home. Moving on, we have an iced vanilla latte, my favorite drink, and this one has a little bit of a twist because it's an iced bourbon vanilla latte. The bourbon definitely adds a lot to it and makes it different than your average vanilla latte. For our final drink of the day, we're trying the Barista Parlor's House Roast, which is actually filmed around the corner. I asked if I could film a little bit of it, but they have strict policies around things like that, so unfortunately, I don't have that for you guys, but we can still try it, and you can still come and try it on your own, so let's give it a sip. I really enjoy that. That's actually been my favorite drip coffee so far this series because it's sweet at first, but then it has a smoky aftertaste. The Barista Parlor at Golden South was definitely the perfect way to kick off the morning, but we still have 2 more shops to get. Let's go. Welcome to the Frothy Monkey at 12 South. This is the pilot location of the Frothy Monkey, which was opened back in 2004 and really helped transform the 12 South neighborhood into what it is today. 16 years later, and the Tennessee chain now has 8 shops, a breakfast through dinner menu, and in 2014 started roasting their own beans. I enjoyed my first trip to the Frothy Monkey in Chattanooga last week so much, and I know it's not going to disappoint here. And if you haven't seen the Chattanooga episode of the Coffee Shop Project, I'm going to be linking it in an iCard here. You should totally check it out after you finish this video. Welcome to the Frothy Monkey at 12 South. This is actually their first location, and because we got our basic drinks down last week in Chattanooga, we just decided to get fun drinks here, and the first one that we got is the Rosemary Honey Latte, which the barista in Chattanooga recommended to us. So what's super cool about this is that they steep the rosemary like tea, and then they locally source honey, blend it together, and then we subbed out regular milk for oat milk because I prefer it. I've been waiting a week to try this. Let's give it a sip. Oh my gosh, that's so good. It's like, we're gonna try it again and then I'm gonna give you a little review. It tastes light and natural because the honey doesn't have any added sugar, and then the rosemary is a nice floral additive, but it's not as overpowering as lavender, so I think it's the perfect blend, and it would be amazing around Christmas time. I definitely need to learn how to make this back home. Even though the Rosemary Honey Latte gave off some warm, wintry vibes, it is still hot as heck outside, so we decided to cool things down with a iced lavender mint latte. The Frothy Monkey is literally the gift that just keeps on giving. This is just as amazing as the first one, 2 different seasons, but I would recommend both 1,000%. This one, it has the lavender, but it mixes beautifully with the mint, and it's just refreshing. And a lot of times coffee feels dehydrating. This drink actually feels hydrating because of how like the ice and the water have all blended together. I love it. Our final shop of the day is Fido, and I chose this shop because I'm a diehard Swiftie, and when I knew I was coming to Nashville to film, I couldn't finish this series without getting Taylor's favorite place, so let's go check it out. Fido is part of the Bongo Java Coffee Company, which has been around Nashville since 1993 and has grown to a point where they have 5 stores and 2 wholesale locations. While Fido itself doesn't roast, it's Nashville's largest buyer of local ingredients, and I am super excited to try a couple of their signature brews. Finishing off our Nashville coffee tour at Fido. For our 3 drinks, we have our usual iced vanilla latte. The barista recommended a drink called the Gray Sky, which they say is a house special. I don't know what's in it, so we're gonna try to taste it, put our coffee connoisseuring to the test. And then we have their roast of the month. They had a house roast and a roast of the month, and they had an autumn themed roast. And after I made autumn themed cold brew last week, I figured I'd keep trying the fall roasts because even though it's hot, we're gonna pretend it's fall in our hearts, and we're gonna try the vanilla latte first. Whenever I compare vanilla syrup to anything, even though I'm a die-hard Starbucks person on the day-to-day, it's Dunkin' Donuts syrup. You have to know, it's the best. And I haven't had a coffee yet on this little coffee tour that matches their standards, but I'm hoping Fido might be able to replace that. That's actually my favorite one that I've had this entire tour. A lot of times I felt like there hasn't been quite enough vanilla in there. This is the perfect ratio of not too sweet, but it's also not bland. And again, it's with oat milk, and everything mixes better with oat milk. Like the flavor in it brings everything together, and would actually order it again if I was just here on the daily. Now we're moving on to their Gray Skies. I tried this beforehand to see if I could actually taste what was in it because they didn't tell me what was in it going in, and I thought it was lavender. It's not lavender. It's bergamot, coconut, and chocolate shavings, so my guess was totally off. It wasn't my thing. I don't love really complex flavor combinations in coffee. I just like to keep it simple with the vanilla, but since it's such a favorite, if you ever make it to Fido, I would definitely recommend giving it a shot. For our final drink at Fido, instead of getting just their house roast, I decided to get their monthly roast because it was a fall one, and since I've been loving trying fall roasts recently, I couldn't resist, so let's give it a sip. It's a lot stronger than a lot of the black coffees that I've had so far, which I really appreciate it. I don't like light roast, so that's a win. I don't really taste any fall flavors, but it's a great cup of coffee. I'm definitely gonna finish it and I would order it again. I can definitely see what Taylor saw in Fido. It has a super cool vibe. I would definitely come back if I was in Nashville because the coffee was great, but there's also so many cool photo ops around it. But that's all we have for Nashville. We need to move to our last city in Tennessee, Franklin.